Hello, big crowd. How are you today? I'm just curious. Are you interested in AI or are you interested in education? Who's interested in AI? Who's interested in education? Who's a musician? Who's a non-musician? All right. Let's do that. First of all, thanks to Rockhall, to Sonic Visions for inviting me. It's my first time in Luxembourg. Actually, pretty enjoyed. I was living in Belgium before, so everything is familiar. So thank you for bringing me over. My name is Dhaka. I'm a musician. I live in the UK. I'm not from the UK. This is faking it pretty good, so I can blend in. I'm a musician, an academic, teacher at the University of Westminster. I was teaching at Berklee College of Music. You might have heard of that. And also I have my own company specializing in music education for now, later in all the creative industries. And we're using AI for whatever we're creating. So that's why they brought me over to talk about AI in education. But I'm specializing in music education. So hello, I see some familiar faces. Oh, brilliant. This is going to be all full. Trust me on that. So we've done the little initial question. Have you seen any live performance lately? Who has seen a very impressive live performance? Just raise your hands. Something that, knocked your socks off. It was amazing. All right. Tell me, over there in the background, tell me a few words, why was it amazing?
Overload of the senses.
All right. I like it. Some people here in the center, you had a very impressive live performance. Who was it? Okay, why? Just a couple of words.
I would agree, it just gets you into a mood.
All right, cool. We're getting where I want to go, so thanks for playing along. Now, somebody that has seen a performance that was really bad, like boring. Don't tell me what it was. All right, so tell me a couple of words. Why was it boring? Dead? Dead on stage, all right. I like it. Somebody else over here, boring performance. Why?
Uninspired.
What?
They were uninspired.
Uninspired, all right. So you're getting where I want to go. So we're going to get started with a little bit of basic theory about AI. So we don't have to get technical. We're going to talk a little bit about some fun stuff that will show us the human nature of AI, and then we're going to go a little bit more technical. So usually boring is something that is repetitive, uninteresting, it's monotonous, the same thing again and again, nothing random. On the other hand, when something is exciting, it's like an overload of senses. It's random, it's surprising, it's just too many things happening. And this is a very basic piece of theory that has been used for information to be counted. In the past, we couldn't count information. We didn't know how to measure information, right? So as things started getting digitized and we started having, electricity and transmitting information here and there, people commercially had to find a way to measure that thing, information. What is it? We cannot touch it. So eventually this guy put together this basic principle, Shannon, about Shannon's information entropy or Shannon's entropy. So what Shannon says is that when something is boring, repetitive, it has low information entropy. That means it's predictable. We can say, if there is a piece of text that says blah, 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 blah 80 times, if I ask you what was that text about, you can say it was 80 times blah. But if it was a very nuanced, a very beautiful poem, you'll have to explain the whole thing so you can give more information to describe something that might be the same length of text. So this is the basic thing. Low information entropy, very predictable. High information entropy, unpredictable, random. And this is, just stick with that because we're going to repeat that quite a few times today. So I'll show you a real life example that a lot of things can be predicted. Basically, everybody's using Google, and we know that whenever we're writing something, Google completes the sentence. And now the same thing is happening with messages, all right? This is low information entropy. Google, your phone, predicts what you're going to say. They know more or less because they know what you've written before. They have information about you, all right? So bear with me on that. I'll show you how you can predict the same way, just like Google does. Let's play a little bit of a game. I'll start a phrase, and then you will shout you will complete the phrase, basically. All right, ready? Ready to play that game?
Yeah.
All right. Who wants to be a... All right, cool. What's that? It's a matter of life and... All right. Actions speak louder than... All right. Let's go a little bit more difficult. Barking up the wrong... Tree. All right. The best thing since... Sliced bread. You're British? American? All right. Cool. Good English then. It cost an arm and a... All right, and a leg. Let's go now to shorter phrases. It rains, cats and... All right. Play the devils. All right. The great... All right. Gatsby, recession, depression. All right. Royal... All right, or family, and climate? Change. Cool. So now you are robots. I hail you, you are robots, you can predict. So this is what's happening. Now, anything that can be digitized, basically, can be, at some point, predicted, even our behavior. We have so many things tracking what we're doing. You have things tracking your palms, your heart rate, all the information, about what you've bought before. Basically, everything you're doing is online and can be measured. At some point, now this is the scary part, at some point, maybe even your behavior can be predicted. So here is the ethical side of things, and now we're going to kickstart the actual part of the presentation. If things can be predicted, and let's say your phone knows you so well that it can end up, knowing your intentions and what your goals are, and it can start talking as if it was you, without you touching your phone. And then on the other side, there is another phone that is not actually a phone. It's it's not a human. It's a phone talking to you. So now there's two phones talking to each other, representing people. Is that actual human connection? And if this is human connection, and the computer knows all the information and can predict what we want to do, why do we need to start learning? And what is the future of our children, and what's the human side of things? What's the role of an educator in this? If the computer can do all of that, this is what we're going to discuss today. This is going to be the main point, the ethical side of AI, let's say. So I'm going to try to predict the future. I'm not going to try to play the all-knowing creature that I can tell you how AI exactly is going to look like. I can tell you my best guess, because nobody knows. But hopefully it's going to be fun, entertaining, and we're going to reach to some conclusions, and we're going to discover what makes us human. So this was the slide that was supposed to be about economic predictions. It's upside down. All right, I missed that. So who has children that are studying right now or high school? Just raise your hands. All right. The gentleman over here. What is the ideal education for your child? How would you imagine it to be?
There's a lot of self-organized.
Okay. All right. And what would your child do in this education? How would he or she learn?
With others, hands-on, in different environments.
Interactive.
Open structures.
All right. Perfect. Does this actually happen?
It's a Montessori school.
All right. It's a little bit more difficult. I mean, we're going to talk about the harsh reality of what's happening in actual education. But I also want to see, is there any musician over here? Yeah, there were a few musicians. Anybody that is over 30 years old? All right? Okay. Are you single, married? What's your status? Hard to say, all right? Ladies, the phone number, he's not sure. Has anybody told you, as a 30-year-old kind of single musician, has anybody told you, when are you going to get a family, start, having your own family, children, and when are you going to get a job or something? Has anybody told you that? All right. Okay. I'm getting to a point here. It's kind of the same thing of what's happening in education and in our society. Society kind of imposes goals on us. You know, these people are imposing what their goals are and their fears on you because this is what they think their future should be, and they impose it on you. Education imposes what your goals should be. Society, you need to make money, you know, you need to be successful. They kind of impose things on us without us exactly, you know, playing a part in this. And education does it in a very hardcore way. So let's talk a little bit about education real quick. 100 years apart, 110 years apart. This is unbelievable. It's the same like it used to be, only now that we have digital tools. So essentially, this system puts you in a box. You get started, you want to go from A to B. You start as somebody that doesn't know much about the subject, and then eventually you will end up being a master of the subject. That's point B. And instead of going one straight line, or a little bit, you know, of a curve so you can randomize things, you end up going all around, learn about all these subjects that have nothing to do with where you want to go. You end up with huge debt, so much time, you know, spent, and eventually you might not even get to point B. Yes, that's a powerful slide. Take a picture of that. So, this is what the gentleman said. Right now, we don't have actionable education. We don't have on-demand education, personalized education that has to do with somebody's specific goals. And this is the real problem. Because even the exams are the same for everyone. You know, no matter where you come from or what you want to achieve or your abilities, you have to prove the same things in the same way to the same people, which is horrendous. So, what about the future of our children? What about self-actualization? What about what we want to achieve and what happiness is for us? And guess what? The answer for me is that AI is going to take us there. And we're going to see in the next part of the presentation how we can actually go from something stale towards something that leads us to self-actualization. So, how can AI be applied to education? All right, we've talked a little bit about what AI is and the theory behind it. We talked about the problem. Now, how can we apply AI to solve the problem? To begin with, there's 3 eras. Initially, it was things being done manually. So if you had to do something, you had to create it. It was unique, and then the person had the only copy. And then Ford's factory line, we started mechanizing things. But it was in a physical realm. And then later, the automation era, where things got digital and automated just like Ford's factory line. And then the next era, the era we're entering right now, some people say we're already in, we're immersed, it's AI. So let's stay on the era where we are right now. So you can see that today, things are digital. Things are multimedia, they're interactive, there's recommendations, there is some basic personalization. But essentially, just like a class, you know, all these Udemys and masterclasses and Coursera's, it's just like a physical, in-place class, but in a digital space. There's nothing else, no other rules, no different rules apply. It's the same rules like in a physical space. And this is not how AI looks like. People say, yeah, this is an AI tool. No. This is a digitation era tool. With AI, when we're talking about AI practically, we're talking about behavior tracking. We're talking about adaptive solutions. So you change a little thing and it changes the whole solution based on your past experience and everything you want to achieve. We're talking about optimization. It's an algorithm that the more you use, the more it becomes better. And it learns from you, and it becomes better, not you use it once and then it becomes better for you. And then you use it becomes better for you and for everybody else. And also, we're going to have data history. Now, you can start downloading your data. That's becoming a right. And correctly, it should be a right. You should own your data. And finally, because of all these data and the algorithms, we can start making predictions that are pretty accurate. So this is AI. So essentially, in a word, I would say AI amplifies. This is not a sponsored post, by the way. AI amplifies the human behavior. It helps us become better. something that we would not be able to do all by ourselves. This is the magic of the digital world. So far, so good. Are we following? All right, because we're going to start, coming up with some conclusions in a bit. So, this is going to be the most horrific prediction I'm going to make. A lot of people are going to ask, so if all these things can happen through AI, what about the poor human mentor? In my opinion, your next mentor will be this. And it will be small, maybe even your phone in your pocket, and you'll be able to talk with it. And the reason is computation theory. So essentially, computation theory is on the right. A computer produces an answer that is correct, if possible, fast. Humans, practically, that's what we do. We produce answers fast. We all want to get an answer. Ideally, a correct answer. All right? But imagine if that thing on the right starts computing the right answers and gets faster and faster, and eventually matches up the speed of decision-making of a human being. Then why will you need the human that makes the wrong answer in the same speed like your Amazon Echo or your phone? All right? That's a difficult question to answer, why you should go on the left. So how do you, what is the Tinder? Is it swipe left, is it like reject, and swipe right, is it, yeah? So what would you do? Swipe right or left over here? Swipe right. So I'll give you an example. So this is how I would like my future mentor to be. A phone, just like Google, that can say right now where you are because of your previous data. And then you will say, I want to learn this. That is just like saying, Google, I want to go to that place. And then instantly, it's going to scan all the information around the web and your history, and it's going to say, the best way to get there, you want to learn how to play the guitar. You play the accordion. The best way to do that, it's this. And then you will start saying, all right, I want more humans in this, or I want the cheapest way, or the fastest way, and it's going to adapt instantly the path to achieve that specific goal. So this is how the future mentor is going to look like for me. And that could be Amazon Echo, it could be your phone, anything. But you will be able to talk with it. So this way, as you can imagine, if this becomes a reality, people from all over the world will be able to access knowledge, education, and solutions right now, fast, without any bias, without the mentor getting tired at all, being available 24/7. So the knowledge is going to get democratized and also localized because you'll set different criteria. So people from all over the world will be able to learn just like, the US or the UK or Europe can learn, because it's going to be cheap as well. And I think that's a beautiful thing. So AI seems to be like a really nice solution. But if everything is computed, it's predicted, it's there for you, what about you getting messy? What about you being human and random and, trying things out? And if the computer brings more of what you already believe in and where you want to go, what probably is going to create an echo chamber, just like Facebook shows you exactly what you want to see and you only associate with the people that agree with you. What if your mentor does the same thing with you? It's a pretty ominous scenario, You will not be able to explore more things. And now that's the last part of our presentation. Hello, David. How are you?
Computer slide.
This is still on the mechanization era, that thing, the plugging. So, we're talking about Shannon's entropy again. What is the role of humans in AI? What about us getting messy? I'll start with a story. I'll tell you a story where probably I will not say why humans are important. Through the story, maybe you'll find out. Before being a musician, academic, and entrepreneur, I used to be in the army. I was working for NATO. I was in Belgium. Stayed in the army for 7 years. And before that, I had to go through sports exams, all right? I had pretty good academic scores, but I had to go through sports exams. And I was not that fit kind of person that you can see right now. I was a little bit, sluggish. But my father was a sports teacher. So he's like, Tommy, I'm going to train you, and you're going to pass the exams. I'm like, yes. So it was a group of people, same age, like 18 years old, 17 and a half. And we started running around the football pitch. And eventually everybody, starts the same pace, and then Tommy stays behind. And everybody else, goes faster, and Tommy just there. And eventually everybody, goes to the finish line, and I'm still there, half a football pitch left for me. And I'm like, I'm not going to make it. So I start, giving the best that I have. And my father at the end goes like, yeah, Tommy, go, you're about to, to get it. And then eventually when I just, go through the finish line, like, da-da-da-da-da-da. And my father goes, slow motion, here we go. You've made it. It was half a second before the official limit. In my first try, although I was feeling sluggish, I actually made it. And I was very happy. And then you can predict later that I got confidence, and, then I started improving my record, and eventually I passed the sports exams. Now, what I didn't know is that my father actually cheated. He knew that back then I was a person that I was impacted by confidence a lot. So if I knew that I had failed my first try, probably I would have been let down by myself, and then self-destructive and this and that. So my father stopped the watch, although I hadn't actually passed the limit in the first try. But this helped me become better. My father knew me. What he did, he was actually being human. He cared. It was the warmth, the empathy, the connection, something that a computer will never be able to probably do. And this is why human beings are important. Because no matter what the perfect world that a computer can create, we do need the human touch. And now I'm going to touch upon 4 key roles in AI and what, why they should be humans. First of all, the people that will build the algorithm, they're humans. These people should be ethical, should be inclusive. If we train an algorithm to be racist, eventually it's going to bring racist results, and it's going to train itself to become more racist. So there is an ethical choice that the coder has to make to write the right kind of code that includes, that is unbiased. But on the other hand, there is people with money that, push their capital into solutions. If we keep pushing money into something that makes more money, then eventually we're going to end up with the most commercial applications, not with the most ethical or the most beneficial for the human race applications. So there is an ethical standpoint here for the investors. But let's go for the important parts. What about the tutor? The tutor, their role would not be to transmit knowledge in the era of AI. The role will be to make students more curious, more of explorers, more of people that search within them, more of people that are leaders and they try different things out and maybe make more mistakes. So their role will be to facilitate more exploration rather than getting the knowledge, which the computer will bring anyway. And then on the other side, it's the learner that will have to stop trying to imitate the computer and start trying different things out and being more of a problem solver and inspiring others to join and create more things. So I think this is where we're getting. Eventually, just like how you use your Google map, it shows you the path and you start checking out, and it's your choice whether you want to go from A to B walking around and looking at your phone, or whether you want to just look around and admire, the people walking by. So whether you want to automate things and move from A to B like a robot, or be human and messy and maybe get lost, while walking and start observing and lose track of time, that's going to be your choice. AI will give you the choice to be automatic and robotic-like, but you'll have the choice of how you're going to use it. And let's not forget, Marshall McLuhan said, we shape our tools, and then they shape us, and then we shape our tools. So just to wrap up, the key word today is surprise. This is what makes us human. That's high information entropy. You know, it's things that only humans can imagine, who can put together in a way that is funny and unpredictable and really interesting. And I'll give you an example from the book, The Most Human Human, where bots compete with humans and then other people decide who was the human, who was the bot. Really fun competition, you know, once a year. And then the most human human gets a reward and the most human bot gets a reward. But there was an example. This guy that wrote the book took a random passage from a book and saved it in the computer. And then he started writing blah, 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 what I said in the beginning of the presentation, till he matched the length of the excerpt from the book. Then what he did is he compressed both of them. He compressed both the passage from the book and the blah, blah, blah. And guess what? The blah, blah, blah was compressed 3 times more than the random passage from the book. So basically, when the compressor tried to push down the book pushed back. And here's what I want you to remember. That AI will not solve your life, because nobody wants to have a life that is solved. Nobody wants to be compressed down to the essentials that a computer can predict. People always push back. We're going to push back. We're not going to like this. So that's why the key word is surprise. Shannon's entropy. We are human beings with high information entropy within us. And we will not be able to accept a boring life, a boring routine computed. We're going to push back. So that's what I want you to go and do. When the AI era is here and you're fully immersed in it, remember that AI will help you become more human, more of an explorer, a true lifelong learner, and it will help you find out more things and be even more curious. So in my opinion, AI is a good thing and we need to embrace it. Thank you very much. This is my company. We're building AI tools. Thank you for listening today. Any 2 questions or 2 minutes? 2 minutes. All right. Who has a question that is 1.5 minutes long so then I can give a short answer? Any questions? No questions. Either that was brilliant or boring or something in between. But anyway, thank you very much.
Where are you from?
Oh, where am I from? Who said that? I'm from Greece. I live in London.
You said you weren't British, but...
No, I said I live in Britain and I fake my accent. But I cannot unfake it anymore, so that's me now. All right, cheers.